Okay, so I think we will start. So, good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Nikita Mashru, consultant at Jaslok Hospital and also director at Clarity Eye Clinic. My topic, as we all know, is understanding topography. This is a basic topic which everyone needs to know to go further for LASIK or any ablative procedure. Yes, so in short, we will discuss the anatomy of the cornea. The anterior and posterior radii of curvature are 7.8 mm and 6.5 mm respectively. The central corneal thickness is 0.5 mm, whereas in periphery, we all know it is 0.6 mm. The factors that affect the curvature are lid closure, tear film instability, and lid pressure. Coming to the diameter, the vertical diameter is 11.7 and horizontal diameter is 12.6. The refractive index of cornea is 1.37. 43 is the total refractive power. 49 diopter is the refractive power of anterior cornea, and posterior surface has -6 diopter power. So Placido disc system, it projects a series of concentric rings of light on the anterior corneal surface. It is known as Myers. If the Myers are larger in diameter, broader in width and widely separated, the cornea has low power, and whereas the Myers, if they are smaller in diameter, narrower in width and if they are crowded, the cornea has high power. But of course, Placido disc had a lot of drawbacks. It studies only the anterior corneal surface. It just does not tell us any idea about the posterior surface, which has a very important role. It does not give a 3D view. It does not give elevation, curvature, pachymetric data. It gives no information about the height. So, as you can see, these are the basic principles of different topographers. Projection based is laser interferometry, slit scanning based has OBSCAN, sham plug based is Pentacam, Galilei and Cirrus, and OCT based Optoview. Hybrid topographers are iTrace, and point ray tracing has Cassini. So quickly viewing NIDEC, it has Placido-based corneal topography along with anterior corneal ray tracing, aberrometry, refractometry, and keratometry. Slit scanning as OBSCAN, it combines the projection of slit of light with reflection of a Placido disc to obtain anterior and posterior corneal surface. Scheimpflug principle, the subject plane, lens plane and image plane all intersect to give a good depth of image, and Pentacam takes 50 slit images of the anterior segment of the eye in less than 2 seconds with a single rotating Scheimpflug camera to obtain multiple photos. There are multiple topographers based on Scheimpflug principle, Galilei, Pentacam and Cirrus. So Galilei, it has Placido disc with dual Scheimpflug, Pentacam has single Scheimpflug and Cirrus has single Scheimpflug with Placido disc. All the machines are good, the repeatability is good. There was a study done which proved that no machine is superior to any of it. So how to read a map? Coming to the topic. So this is the basic 4 chord map. So going step by step. So I will take you through this 12-point algorithm. So first we will check the quality check. First the quality check has to be seen. If it is okay, then only we proceed. If we see the black dots as seen here, these black dot means the scan was not taken properly. You need to take the scan again. Coming to asphericity, the Q value should always be less than -1. Normal cornea is prolate. Human cornea has an average Q of -0.26. The average measured spherical aberration of the cornea is 0.2 microns because the cornea has a complex surface that is steeper centrally. Coming to the Kmax, it always has to be less than 47. Any K reading more than 47 should be suspicious. Pachymetry, if it is more, it should be more than 500. 470 to 500 is moderate and less than 470 is definitely a high risk. Means we should not go ahead with the ablation. So if the thinnest location is less than 470, the displacement of the thinnest point is more than 500 microns, Pachymetry difference asymmetry in two eyes at thinnest point is more than 30 microns. The superior inferior difference at the 5 mm circle is more than 30 micron. And if it has a cone like, so please don't go ahead with any ablative procedure. Coming to this, if the pachymetry has shifted horizontally, it could be an abnormal scan or a wrong scan. Patient might have moved the eye, or it could be a large angle kappa. If the pachymetry is shifted down, means it could be a suspicious cornea. So this has to be kept in mind. Coming to the elevation map. The elevation map, it defines the height of the cornea in reference to the best fit sphere or the radius of curvature that best matches the average curvature of the map. So the elevation is same for anterior and the posterior map. It gives us the data by reconstructing the actual curvature measurements via algorithms. Greater than 12 micron on the anterior float or greater than 15 to 17 micron on the posterior elevation map is a high risk. That should be suspicious, and we should not go ahead or wait for 6 months, again repeat the test and then go ahead with the ablation if at all we want to. Coming to the axial map, or it is also known as sagittal map, it is used to measure the refractive power at a point. So at a point, a tangent is drawn, a line then perpendicular is drawn on the reference axis. The reference axis is the anatomical axis of the cornea, and the refractive state of the patient is given. Tangential map, as seen here, it gives its principle depends on the tangent circles drawn and not on the straight line. So tangent map is more accurate because it has no reference axis. All points are independent. It doesn't, you don't have to draw perpendicular on the reference axis, and it is better for corneal periphery. Though it picks up lot of, even if there is scarring on cornea, it will show abnormal. So there are also again many drawbacks. That's why still axial or the sagittal map is widely used. Now, not only sagittal map, the corneal topography has lot of shapes going through. It can be classified into 4 groups. Group 1 is the symmetric pattern. So it can be round, oval and symmetric bow tie. So we have to keep in mind the K reading. If it is more than 50 diopters or 48 to 50, it is moderate and high risk. Asymmetric pattern, if it is superior steep or asymmetric bow tie with superior steep or inferior steep, or it can be asymmetric bow tie with inferior steep. So as we can see on the left, it is symmetric bow tie. On the right, it is asymmetric bow tie. So in asymmetric bow tie, the difference between the two opposing point on the sagittal map at the vertical meridian, they are assessed. The superior steep and the asymmetric bow tie with superior steep patterns are considered moderate risk or high risk when the superior inferior difference is more than 2.5. The inferior steep and the asymmetric bow tie with inferior steep are considered moderate risk when the inferior superior difference is 1.5 or greater. So superior inferior is, in short, superior inferior asymmetry more than 2.5, it is definitely a high risk. And if inferior superior asymmetry is more than 1.5, it is high risk. Coming to this group C, that is skewed pattern. So if the superior bow tie, the skewed radial axis is more than 22, it is definitely high risk. It should always be less than 22 degrees. And the last, any of this pattern is definitely suspicious and we should not go ahead with any ablation. It can be keratoconus or pellucid marginal degeneration or keratoglobus. Then every map has this scale where the warmer colors represent the points above the best fit sphere in case of elevation, and cooler color represent the points below the best fit sphere. Even for pachymetry, it represents similarly. The warmer color has thinner corneas, whereas the blue or the cooler colors has thicker cornea. So always the stepped width, normal 10 micron should be taken for the pachymetric map, 1 diopter for the topographic map, and 2.5 micron for the elevation map. Coming to the best fit sphere and enhanced best fit sphere. So recently, Michael Bellin has come up with enhanced best fit sphere. First of all, what is best fit sphere? Computer calculates the best hypothetical sphere that matches the actual corneal shape. Areas above the sphere is red and below in cooler colors, as we can see here. So this computer automatically calculates a hypothetical sphere and it leaves the mountain or it leaves the points that are elevated. This is the latest enhanced best fit sphere where 3.5 centered point with the smallest radius of curvature, all the elevation data within the red circle is excluded and the best elevation reference shape is calculated using only the data which is outside the red circle. So why was the enhanced best fit sphere, why did it come? So it gave, when the study was done, so the modified best fit sphere in normal eyes it did not show any change, but in keratoconic eyes, anterior surface showed elevation and apex enhancement, as well as posterior surface showed more elevation and enhancement. So this helped in treating the keratoconic cornea, showing progression and when to cross-link. I'll come to that again in the further slides. So this is the enhanced ectasia best fit sphere, and as we all know, this is anterior float, posterior float, and this 3 mm best fit sphere, it removes the 3 mm, and this is the final result which is shown down the lowermost, which shows the elevation. Coming to the corneal thickness spatial profile, it describes the change in the thickness from the thinnest location to the corneal periphery. The curve, the curve should follow the dotted line. If it leaves before 6 mm, it is high risk, and if it leaves after 6 mm, it is moderate risk. So I'll show you more examples of this. So this has a flattened shape, which shows it is a thickened cornea. Also, the red line is leaving the dotted line before 6 mm, means it is a high risk cornea. Means the ablation should not be done, or the scan should be repeated after few months. As we can see here, the red line follows the black dotted line, means it is a normal graph. Intake tissue altered, it gives us the percentage, means it flap thickness plus ablation depth divided by the central corneal thickness. If it is 40%, then there is chances of ectasia post LASIK, so that patient shouldn't undergo LASIK surgery at all. Pentacam also gives us this holiday report. It is very important. It incorporates the Snell's law to calculate the refractive indices of the corneal tissue and aqueous humor and aggregating the values for anterior and posterior power. It helps for IOL power calculations for already whose LASIK surgery is being done. Pentacam also useful in the glaucoma screening, the Scheimpflug image, it helps. Another Oculus Corvis ST biomechanical topographical assessment is given, where Pentacam with the biomechanical data from the Corvis ST, it improves the sensitivity and specificity in detection of patients with a significant risk of developing ectasia after refractive surgery. So it gives us the CBI and the TBI indices. CBI is the Corvis biomechanical index. It should always be less than 0.4. And TBI is tomographical biomechanical index. It should again be less than 0. Should be 0.2. If these are more, then there are chances of developing ectasia after refractive surgery. So in case of any doubt, we can quickly go through this Corvis ST Oculus assessment graph. It also gives us the dysfunctional lens syndrome data. Even if the vision is fine, the patient can have few opacities. Therefore, this also is very important. So earlier, the standard was Amsler-Krumich keratochronic classification. It had 4 stages, but it ignores the posterior surface. The pachymetry was drawn considering the optical pachymetry, which now no one uses or no one has it. It doesn't recognize the normal cornea. It doesn't recognize when is the cornea truly progressing or when to cross-link. That's why Michael Bellin sir has come up with the ABCD classification with the 4 stages. So 0 stage is normal, and there are stage 1, 2, 3, 4, which 4 is the highest risk. And what is ABCD? A is the average radius of anterior radius of curvature, B stands for posterior average radius of curvature, C is for corneal thinnest pachymetric data, and D is for best corrected visual acuity and scarring. So accordingly, it is classified and it helps in identifying early or subclinical keratoconus, also helps in understanding the progression and when to do the cross-link. So now I think we will discuss the maps. Can anyone say what is this? It has a 4 map: anterior float, posterior float, pachymetry, and the sagittal map. If anyone wants to answer, you can unmute and say. So this is a typical Kraepelin pattern, and it is a pellucid marginal degeneration. The anterior axial map shows significant inferior paracentral steepening, while the pachymetry map shows thinning. Again, this is a 4-chord map. The pachymetry is 500, keratometry is 44, and elevation is plus 33. Means it is a keratoconus. Then this, again coming through this map, as we can see, the K reading is 48.8. The thinnest point is 490, and plus 22 is at the posterior surface is the elevation. So it is just early moving into the suspicious cornea. It's known as form first keratoconus. Coming to the next, this is a frank keratoconus map because the lowest thickness point is 400. This is a symmetric bow tie with the rule astigmatism. It is a normal eye. In this map, again it is with the rule astigmatism. So it can, with the rule astigmatism with high cylinders, can also depict these kind of picture. This is again case of keratoconus. Coming to OBSCAN, the OBSCAN also has a 4-chord map. So once our basic of anterior float, posterior float, pachymetry and axial is clear, any map we can read, let it be from OBSCAN, Ceres or Galilei. All the maps can be read with the same knowledge. During the image acquisition in OBSCAN, 40 slits are projected sequentially on the cornea, 20 from right, 20 from left, and angle of 45 degree, and the anterior posterior edges are analyzed. So in OBSCAN, initially the Rabinowitz criteria was used, which has K readings, inferior superior asymmetry, astigmatism, and radial axis, skewed radial axis. That determined the Rabinowitz criteria. We will not go into detail. All these are indices again used for the OBSCAN. If anyone wants, I can share it, but I don't think we need to go in the detail. So again, this is the summary of the corneal asymmetric score. The mean keratometry, if it is more than 0.3, posterior keratometry more than 0.1, thinnest pachymetry more than 12, front elevation more than 2, and back elevation more than 5. So if the score of 5 should be considered highly abnormal and less than 1 in a non-keratoconic patients. So this is a very important table. When we will say it is a high risk and we should not proceed for the ablation when the thinnest location is less than 470 microns, anterior sagittal on anterior sagittal curvature, the skewed radial axis is more than 22 degree. If it has a butterfly claw or a smiling face, Kmax is more than 50. On elevation with the Bestwitz sphere, we usually use the Bestwitz toric ellipsoid. If it is more than 12 microns anterior and more than 15 at posterior, and thickness in corneal spatial thickness profile, the S leaves below 6, before 6, it is a high risk and we should definitely not go further for the ablation. And when is it moderate risk? When the thinnest location is 470 to 500 microns and Q value is 0 to -1 and inferior superior asymmetry is more than 1.5 and thickness map superior inferior is more than 30 and S leaves after 6. Okay. So this is just a map of series. Again, the same if we all know. Again, these are indices. If you want, you can quickly go through it, but we did not discuss here. Okay, so I complete my presentation here.